Joining me now on the show is a lady who overcame the odds of hardship and difficulty to set up her own businesses and become a successful entrepreneur. With a love for business, which started on her school playground at age 7, Marsha Wright has defied the odds and become an inspiration to all those who thought it was not possible. Take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Marsha Wright. Thanks for joining me today on PropertyMillionaireRadio.com.
I'm very pleased today to present to you an exclusive. I'm here in New York with Robert Kiyosaki.
Every property you evaluate has to be evaluated on exactly the same merits. Is it going to be a great property for renting, or is it going to be like a refurb job? We'll talk about hints, tips and strategies that you need to know so that you will be a stronger investor, build a better portfolio, and most importantly, build income streams that are going to make a difference to yourself, your family and your future. Okay, here's one of my golden rules. If I'm going to give you a tip, I expect you to use it. Because if you're really going to get the biggest benefit out of it, you're not going to keep it up here, but you're going to make it your actions. And that's when it's really going to have an effect on your pocket.
Hi, Marsha.
Hey, Nat.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Now, tell us a little bit about how you started in business, because I think it's quite an interesting story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'd really kind of say that my start in business, I didn't realise it was a starting business. All I knew is that I wanted to get stuff as a kid, okay? And the way to get stuff, sweets and stuff like that in this shop was to just do stuff that was, offering people services and trying to get people what they wanted. So that if that was anything from offering to wash the neighbours' cars for the 58 pence I needed to buy a sweet. Somehow I never thought of profit back then. But, right through to going to the shops in the morning with my brother, my older brother. I'm the youngest of 3, and going to the shops, buying the sweets and getting the little penny bags and bagging it up on the way at school and having a monopoly over the playground. So, I'm really. It was a really, really humble beginnings. I started out in an area that became known as the UK's capital, murder capital, which is in Harlesden, London. And I grew up in that area, and I was rambunctious. I was kicked out of schools all the time. And, I remember one of my teachers saying to my mum, it was actually a head teacher at a school in Harrow, saying to my mum, she's either going to be an amazing success or an absolute nightmare. And we wish you well, but we can't keep her here anymore. So I'm glad to say, and hopefully they're out there and they can see everything that has been accomplished by myself, working with my team, my husband Simon, who's phenomenal as well. And we've just really worked and built a great company that helps people to be successful.
Sure. So even from a young age, even from back at school, you had that mindset to want to start a business and get into that sort of area. So where did that come from? Because it doesn't sound like your family background was one that kind of maybe pushed you into something like that. Was that?
I don't think I was really. I don't know if I could say that my family background did really not play a part in it. But I mean, from my side, and I mean, if anybody looks up my bio on my website, they'll kind of see a lot more. But I was raised in a single parent family because my father was actually in prison when I was 5. So my mum was a single mum doing the best that she can, and raising 3 kids on her own and just doing the best that she can and working and, and choosing to try to fight against the odds. And I guess, I kind of didn't know. I mean, I only found out that, that my father had money when he was building up his businesses, and I kind of get to this stage in my life and I say, well, if he wasn't such an idiot, we would have been father and daughter in business. But I mean, for me, I little things really influenced me. I think I I've always been a helpful person, and I've always wanted to kind of seed into people's lives, and I sometimes do that to my own detriment. But that's always really been in me, even from a child. I would always try to look for ways to, to help my brothers and my brother and my sister. So, if it's the last piece of chicken on my plate, I'm giving it, even though I'm hungry. I really want to help. So, really, my beginning comes from really a solid upbringing from a single mum who really just was doing the best that she could, and it's an encouragement to people who are in that situation to just really invest in your kids. And try to really encourage them in what it is that they love. I was not very good. I was very good at school. I was very brainy, and I could have done my GCSEs at 12, but I had no patience. I wouldn't apply myself, and I just, I had such a short attention span. So it turns out I was a lot more creative. Having the right income or the right money to get started is always a problem for the majority of business owners. I started my first business with my own office when I was 17, right? And I had £270 and I started that business. And that business got me to a point where at 17 years old, 17 and a half years old, 18 years old, I was making £25 an hour doing consultancy. So for me, that was like, major. And I started that business and had my own office at 17 years old. And, my clients were successful from what I was helping them with, which was kind of CVs and, and kind of presenting themselves and branding themselves properly. So in terms of, the biggest struggles that I had, I always had finance as a limitation because I never had that, I didn't ever have that that money there. So that's always going to be a limitation for a lot of people, but it doesn't by any means have to stop you. You just have to find a way of doing more with what you have.
Absolutely. And I think with the emergence of the internet over the last few years, that being so huge, that gives everybody the opportunity to, start a business from relatively next to nothing. Absolutely. As long as you've got a laptop and, internet access, there's no reason why really you can't do something.
I'll give you the biggest tip that I would say for somebody who wants to get a business started. Instead of thinking, okay, I want to start a business because I'm good at baking. Okay, you have to think, what does the audience want? What do people want? And what can you do that services that need? A lot of people start a business and then they try to bash everybody to buy their product. If you start with the customer first, and then you roll it back, you're always going to be in a much better predicament. Build a database, build a list of people who are interested. That's by far the fastest way to get a business off the ground.
Okay, so what's coming up next for Marsha Wright and her empire that she's building? What are you up to? Because I know you've got some events coming up, and there's radio that you
I've got my new radio show, tycoonradio.com. It runs on the internet, which has always been really well received. That's running. And also, I mustn't forget to mention that we also have a new networking community called the Business Giants Network, and that's all really about being able to connect up other business owners who want to become more successful and grow. So those are the really key little things that I'm working on. Yeah,
fantastic.
Definitely.
Well, Marsha, thank you so much for joining me on today's show. You're an inspiration.
Thank you.
And we will be following you, and we'll be great. Come back on the show and tell us all that you've been doing, and keep in touch and let us know what's going on.
I'd love to. Thank
you so much, Marsha.